Welcome in, Shield Brothers and Shield Maidens, to Shield's Rest. I'm Brown.
I'm Fry.
If frontline brawling with an affinity of thunder and lightning fits your style, then you're going to enjoy what we have planned for today's video. Behold, the God of Thunder! Thor Odinson is a Vanguard hero in Marvel Rivals. He acts as both a tank and a damage dealer. He takes tons of damage and quickly brings enemies to their knees. One of the interesting facts about Thor is that he's actually battled with Hercules. There's a comic called Journey into Mystery Annual from 1965, in which Thor first fought Hercules as he was seeking a path to Olympus, and Hercules was there kind of guarding the entryway. So we'll jump over to the Foundry here, and we have a quick checklist of what you'll need to get started. We've chosen to flavor Thor as a giant-born dwarf Spellblade. You might can guess why, but we'll get started by talking about this briefly.
All right, yeah. So, like Mark said, we're doing giant and dwarf. From dwarf picking up iron stomach, I think that's just classic Thor. And his mythology as a whole, he can kind of stomach anything. We're also picking up physically sturdy from the dwarf ancestry. More flavor again, unstoppable from giant born, and then for those familiar with Thor, I don't know who isn't at this point, but he throws Mjolnir as his primary form of attack. So we're picking up Mighty Hurl and Titanic Toss from the Giant-born ancestries as well to kind of buff that up. We're only picking up one talent for this one, and that's for spellcasting expansion, so we can get an extra spell. And then, since most people, unless you're paying for it, you probably haven't seen the Spellblade yet, so I'm going to let Mark kind of talk on the class features from the Spellblade.
Yeah, so one of the most important things or coolest things from the Spellblade is the bound weapon, which we've also kind of talked about that a little bit in some of the other videos as we
Mhm.
stole the bound weapon feature from the Spellblade class. But the things we're going to be potentially using here, there's several things within bound weapon, but smite to increase damage dealt with that bound weapon, and also recall, the ability to retrieve the hammer, which is an obvious iconic thing from Thor. There's also a list of Spellblade disciplines, but the ones that we're choosing to go with are Acolyte and Blinkblade, and we'll explain those as we get into the build. There's also some other things such as Spell Strike, which are a pretty cool and interesting way to weave into the build, and also Might and Magic, which is just more of like a passive general feature that's not specific to Marvel Rivals specific abilities, but will help you to feel like you're truly playing Thor. And Fry, you can talk about the cantrips and the spells.
Yep. So for our cantrip, we're going to be picking up Lightning Bolt, and then for our two spells, we're going to do Returning Shock and Crackling Lightning, all from the Lightning and Teleportation spell list, from the pre-made spell list.
So that's everything you'll need to get started with Thor. We'll go ahead and cover the overview. So Thor has the following abilities, which is Mjolnir Bash, Storm Surge, Hammer Throw, Lightning Realm, Awakening Rune, Thor Force, and then his ultimate ability, God of Thunder. So we'll let Fry get started here by covering the first ability, which is Mjolnir Bash.
All right, so pretty quick and easy. Mjolnir Bash, that is just light hammer, standard starting equipment, trusty hammer that he'll carry with him throughout his adventures.
Yep. Then we'll cover Storm Surge, and this is kind of to flavor his way to go with his hammer. So we're using the Blink Blade Spellblade discipline. Before you make an attack, you can choose to teleport one space before or after making the attack, and also we can weave in the knockback maneuver. On top of a regular Mjolnir bash, essentially. So we're kind of tying all three of those things together. You make an attack, you can teleport a space to be with your hammer, and you can also knock the enemy back to kind of bring them with you. Now, in Marvel Rivals, I think he has quite a bit more range with that, so this is a little bit more limited as far as like space goes. But we could probably flavor that in down the road or when subclasses come out or something. But for now, I think it really captures the essence of what the intended ability is. So.
Yeah, I think that the limit really is the blink blade part. Like you could do the heroic bash, I believe, to get a lot more knockback out of it, but you wouldn't be able to follow through as much with blink blade. So this keeps you kind of in track with your abilities. It keeps them kind of together. But then that leads us into his hammer throw, and this is where we'll combine his light hammer that has the toss property that lets us throw the hammer, and then that bound weapon allows us to recall it back. The recall is free, so for every attack you do during your turn, you don't have to like worry about you only getting one recall. So every time you throw it, you can pull it back, which is really, really great, really convenient.
Yep. Then we've got the Lightning Realm ability. This is we're flavoring with Returning Shock, which is actually a reaction, so it does kind of you need to take a hit to really use this. But if you activate this Returning Shock, then you can enhance it with a chain property to kind of make it that area of effect, and it can basically deal that lightning damage to everyone that's within it. And pretty straightforward, but gives him that lightning realm.
Right, and then Awakening Rune. So while this won't be a kind of an activation ability like it is in Marvel Rivals, we'll kind of flavor this with the Lightning Bolt cantrip. So instead of using your Mjolnir Bash to do your Light Hammer strikes, you'll be swapping to the Lightning Bolt cantrip to simulate those lightning arcs. Um, Kind of going back into the smite and all that, you can also be flavoring it as um, when you throw your hammer, you can smite to do that lightning damage, and this allows you to kind of weave the two together. So you have your Spellblade stamina ability, which is whenever you make a spell attack or do a spell check without spending SP, you'll get an SP back. So you can throw your hammer, smite with it to spend the SP, then you do your lightning bolt, deal that lightning damage, which recovers you an SP, which on your next attack you can now smite again. So it's kind of a little bit self-sustaining. You will have those multiple ability check penalties, but other than that, it's a nice way to kind of weave the two abilities in, and you kind of get some more lightning out of it throughout your whole turn, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I really like that. It definitely feels like he's in and out and weaving several abilities, which
Mhm.
is really how he plays in Marvel Rivals. So I thought that really kind of brings it all together. As far as the other things have been kind of more basic in a way, but really it's bringing it all together, just like we've seen in some of our other builds. The next
Mhm.
ability is his passive ability, which is Thor Force. There's a couple things with this that I wanted to speak on, but essentially, when he activates Thor Force, he also gets increase to his health. So we're bringing in the Acolyte Spellblade Discipline, which is really the heal option of that. So while it's really just a heal, it's not an overshield or temp HP, but using that to flavor the Thor Force as you use it. There's also the Spellblade Stamina, which we've already talked about a few times, but anytime that you're not using an SP to make a spell check or attack, then you're regaining that Spellblade Stamina, and also just the action point system that's within this game. All three of those things kind of weave in together and limit what the Thor Force is, which is, I believe he gets three Thor Force
Yeah, three.
resources to use. So those three things together will kind of enhance and answer the Thor Force portion of the Thor build.
And then last up, we have his ultimate ability, God of Thunder. So for this, we are going to be taking Crackling Lightning. Primarily, we're going to be doing the Sphere option. So you'll kind of flavor the rise up and the crashing down, but you'll have your big lightning explosion. I think it's two spaces around him. You could also, if you decide to go a different route with maybe your ancestry, or you get the ability to fly later, you could also do the cone option. So kind of fly up in the air and shoot it down in that aspect, and then kind of come and slam down. But for the purposes of this build, we're going to go with the sphere option. So that is God of Thunder, and then Thor in a nutshell. I think it came together really, really nice. And this is a super fun build. I think this is the one I'm going to try and play at some point.
Yeah, super cool, and I definitely like what you mentioned there with God of Thunder. And again, to people watching this, right, like you can make your own build and do some things different. So that's one good option if you prefer to play Thor in the way where you're kind of jumping up and doing that cone God of Thunder versus the Sphere one. Both work, right? But definitely a really cool way to really change the whole play style of him is that just that one simple thing. Um, but
Yeah, if you go with the favorite Beastborn, you can get jumping, and that's another way you can just use the cone. But we tried to stay away from Beastborn in these next few,
yeah,
hopefully.
no more Beastborn. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed this video, and definitely excited to finish off this Marvel Rivals build series. I'll just plug it here. What we're going to be trying to do is get basically like a PvP arena style thing going, where we have set teams who pick from this roster of what will be 12 or 14 characters, right? So each team will get 3 or 4 people and pick the hero they want to play on their team, and they'll make their team, and then we'll do like a battle of the rivals, so to speak. Um, so look out for that in the somewhat near future. It'll probably be closer to April or later, just because we got to get through with the builds. But if you're interested in potentially partaking in that, leave a comment below, reach out to us and let us know. Right now we have an idea of what we want to do, but we definitely want to include people from the community that have an interest in that. So and then our next builds will probably from here on, right? So starting in the March videos, we should have the 0.9 subclass full release. So we'll probably do the March and on builds with those subclasses included. And then we'll do a quick like recap video for the characters that we did in January, February to include some subclass enhancements or changes to them. That way, in April, when we do that bigger event, it'll include subclasses for all of the heroes. So,
we're also going to be making the team up abilities as well, which I'm really excited about. So that'll be a little homebrew on our end, but look forward to that as well.
Yeah, we got to figure that out still, but it'll be exciting to bring Marvel Rivals into DC20 and run it all through Foundry, and hopefully bring in some entertaining PvP with it, right? So, but anyways, we appreciate everyone watching as usual and love the support we've been getting lately, and thank you so much. So, until next time, keep that shield wall strong.
Take care.